Right now, let's call Frank Dello and talk about The Brain That Wouldn't Die. So our movie tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, it's our new movie show. Friday night at the movies at WinCam. But we have a new opening for it, and we got Frank talking about... I got two phone numbers from him tonight. He emailed me. So let's see. Try this tried and true one.
Frank Telestrito to talk about movies. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, Frank. Sorry for the delay.
No problem.
The Brain That Wouldn't Die. You know, I'm on YouTube, and there's like 15 different sections of it, so you can watch the whole thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
I think it had potential. There's some great lines in it, I think. I think that the father had some really incredible lines, you know, about your typical, gloom and doom lines, but they were very good. I want to quote them. I'm going to use them as quotes.
Okay.
And I like I actually like the music behind it. Do you know who did that? It's on there.
Huh? I don't know who did the music.
But the music is very good, actually. So for a movie that's kind of, could I call it cheesy?
Yeah, it's cheesy. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's a good example of low-budget schlock horror of the early 1960s.
It's got some great quotable quotes and really great music on the soundtrack. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that.
Well, I watched it this week for the first time since I can't remember, and I was surprised how good the first 15 minutes or so are. I mean, the cutting, the camera angles, all quite imaginative. I think the best lines in the movie are, the best acting in the movie is in those opening scenes. There's little touches in there. I don't think, horror movies, the leading lady is usually a professional virgin. She's so virtuous, you got to wonder about it. And the leading lady in this movie, in her opening scene, lets you know that she's basically anxious to be wed and anxious to be vetted by this guy. She even tells her father-in-law, "You don't have to worry. None of your grandchildren are going to be test tube babies."
That was a line that shocked me, because what year was this? 1960.
62. So.
That was pretty risque, and that caught my eye too.
But
Our ear.
The magic irony is within a few minutes she's in her car accident. Her head, she's been decapitated, and then there's this woman who has got some carnal feelings, doesn't have a body anymore. All she is a head, and she's not happy about it. And then after that, the movie more or less settles into a more familiar low-budget horror movie. The pace slows down. The second half is weak compared to the first half. The first half, I thought they had put all their nice touches in. I don't know if you noticed when they get to the house, the main hallway has this bust of a woman, which looks a little bit like the head of the woman of the Brain That Wouldn't Die. So there's these little touches in the beginning, but then they can't keep up that pace. They fall into kind of a formula, which I won't go into in case anybody hasn't seen it. It's worth watching. It's worth watching the second half more for historical reasons, just to see what was put in the theaters 50 years ago. But the first half is really a delight of what you can do with no money and just some good writing. I wish they could have kept up the whole film.
Interesting. Jan in the Pan is what they call the wife.
Yes, that's what I believe that's what a horror movie host termed her, because her name is Janice. And once she's decapitated and put into her head is put into I'm not giving anything away because this is all revealed in the first quarter of the movie. Her head's put basically in a laboratory pan, so she became for all posterity Jan in the Pan.
Did you ever see the Golden Girls episode where they want to be put on ice?
Yes.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's great because there's a dream sequence, and they let's see, B. Arthur, Rue McClanahan, and Betty White are all at the kitchen table, but they're only heads, just like Jan in the Pan.
Okay, I'll keep my eyes open if the reruns ever come back.
I'll get it off of Wikipedia and send it to you. And then they're on ice, and then Sophia comes in, and they're wondering why Sophia's head isn't in ice. And she said, it's the new thing they're doing. It's the body of a 20-year-old with my head.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. It's just like, but they obviously got it from this movie. And the special effects are cheap. You have someone under a table with their head on the table. Right?
I guess you figured that out, right?
Right.
Did you know that there was a musical version, and this is going to play in New York starting next Friday?
No.
Yes. If you you go into Google and put The Brain That Wouldn't Die, the musical, up it'll pop. It's supposed to play for 10 nights, October 6th through 15th. It's kind of a special production. If you read the plot summary that you can find online, it's a bit more raunchy than this movie. You said this movie was a bit risque. Well, this one, takes some things to a logical conclusion. And of course, I haven't seen the musical yet; it hasn't opened. But when you first brought this, said you're going to play this movie, I said, hey, maybe Joe has a hand in the musical, and he's trying to get a little advertisement for it. So.
Well, maybe I'll get down to New York just for one day to see it. I don't know.
Maybe. I'll follow over the reviews to see how it does. I wish them well.
I mean, this is a family show, so I'm not going to say. I'll say what I was going to say off camera. We'll just leave it there. But movies like this, they saved Hitler's brain. You ever see that one?
No, that's 1968. I started making a little list of movies about the heads that aren't connected to the bodies anymore, and they saved Hitler's brain is 1968. I have not seen it. I know, basically Nazi scientists spirit Hitler's brain out somewhere, and then the plot takes off from there. But I have not seen that movie. Have you?
No, but there's a punk rock song by a band called Unnatural Acts, AXE. And I co-produced the record back in 1978. It's a punk classic. It's been bootlegged all around the world. It goes for big bucks on the internet. And they just made a punk version of this movie title, a song. And it's so some night I'll play it. I have the rights to play it, of course, because I'm the producer. So maybe if that movie's in public domain, we'll do it. Because it kind of is a nice segue from The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
Yes. Now, is this the first disembodied head movie?
Oh, that's a good one.
The answer is no. A few years before this came The Thing That Couldn't Die, which is about I haven't got the credits in front of me or anything, but it's the Thing That Couldn't Die is actually a Spanish explorer who was something of a Satanist, and his men killed him, and they buried his head one place and his body in another place, and then his curse reaches out and they get united. But for a good amount of the time, the brains are running, the head's running around without a body.
Interesting.
And the classic of the disembodied brain movies is Donovan's Brain from 1953, which this movie really isn't anything like it. And there is a disembodied hand movie called The Beast with Five Fingers, but this is one of a small subgenre of movies about disembodied parts running around.
Now, I could see Little Shop of Horrors being a musical, but I would, if you said to me, guess which movie is going to be a musical or a play, I would be hard pressed to think of this one.
Yeah. Anyway, something about some of the other people. The two prime movers behind the movie were a man named Joseph Green and a man named Rex Carlton. Joseph Green was a movie distributor, and he basically, and I say a movie distributor, he was a bottom of the barrel movie distributor, low price foreign films, exploitation films, etc. And he would lease them. He would buy the rights, the U.S. rights, and then he'd distribute them. And like a lot of distributors, he decided to get into the production end to see if he could cut out the middleman. I think this was the only movie he really did that on. So either it was too much work or was not successful enough to justify him doing it again. And the writer of the movie, and of course on low budget production, everybody has to do everything. So even, no matter what their credits are, and the producer, he's also the writer, is Rex Carlton. And I know nothing about him except he committed suicide because he got on the wrong side of the mob. And rather
Yikes.
than have them take care of him their way, he just killed himself.
Yikes.
And that's all I know about him. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of movie credits. And what he did do, he did. Okay, I've got his credits in front of me. Blood of Dracula's Castle, Nightmare in Wax, Unearthly Stranger. Unearthly Stranger, 1964, is actually a rather intelligent film. It sticks out from the rest. But he came to a tragic end.
Well, it's kind of like predestination, I guess. The brain that wouldn't die, right? And
Yeah.
but that being said, we have Halloween coming up. We have October coming up. What Bela Lugosi, or do you call it Bela or Bela?
It's okay. Think of here, Baylor, Baylor.
Bela Lugosi.
Now give it a soft R, Bela.
Bela.
And you're close.
Bela.
Now you're stepping twice. I have said a few words at gatherings where Bela Lugosi Jr. was. Twice I've introduced him. Both times he got up and he corrected my pronunciation of his first name. So I've got a real stigma here, but it's not Bela, it's Bela.
Bela.
I would like to invite him on. In fact, I was going to contact him. I did send an email out to Arthur Lenig. Thank you. Did you email with him or did you talk to him on the phone?
No, I had his email somewhere. So
No, because
and I apologize for not getting back to you sooner. I fell a bit behind in my email correspondence. When I saw your note, I said, I think I might have it. So I think that's a good email for him. So hopefully he'll answer. And for those who don't know, Arthur Lenig wrote the first true biography of Bela Lugosi way back in, I think it was 1969 or maybe 1972. I don't have the year in front of me.
we have the reissue right here. We've been talking about it.
You've got the Immortal Count. It started off as a Count.
I have a copy of that too.
Yeah, but the Count, I mean, they're both fine biographies, but the Count, the original book, there wasn't a lot of serious biographical work being done on the old horror movie stars and back in the late 60s, early 70s. There wasn't a lot of serious writing at all about horror movies. And Arthur Lenig was a real pioneer there. So whatever the biographical value of his book or whatever, he broke a lot of ground there, and I will always be indebted to him for that, so I can't wait for you to have him on.
This would be great, and I'd love to have Lugosi's son on. Now, I gave you a list of movies we have of Mr. Lugosi's. Do you think, what would you like to launch next week?
What do you go? No, I never got a list from you. What do you got?
Well, I don't have it in front of me. It's in the other room.
Well, you probably, I mean, the ones that are in public domain are, I know White Zombie's the most famous one that's in public domain. I think you actually showed that.
Yeah, should we start with White Zombie next week?
It wouldn't, yeah, White Zombie?
All right, we'll start with White Zombie. Hey, Jeff, can you get someone to get me the green box in Anthony's desk? That's the Lugosi archives.
No. What did you think of Children of the Corn?
Well, Children of the Corn was an interesting movie, but we're kind of focused on Lugosi here.
Yeah. But I mean,
So,
talking about horror movies, you know.
yeah, but we're going to do this Lugosi series for 6 weeks, starting next Thursday. Pretty exciting, Frank.
No.
Yeah. You go ahead, start with White Zombie, then you,
I'm getting the box right now. I should have thought, thank you, Jeff, I should have thought to do this before the show. Heroes of Horror. Okay, so White Zombie's on this. Bowery at Midnight.
Bowery at Midnight is not a bad film. That would be a good film, yes.
Start with that.
Well, I mean, no, let's start with White. Let's get off with a bang. White Zombie is the classic of them. There are people who are a lot bigger fan of the movie than I am, but it is the acknowledged classic of the ones that are in public domain.
Okay.
Bowery After Midnight is a good fun movie to watch. It's a little corny, but I mean, when we go back to some of the low budget stuff of the 40s, we're going to get corny movies. You probably have some more of the monogram movies. You probably like 8-Man, Return of the 8-Man,
Yep.
Man.
Brooklyn, Bela Lugosi meets the Brooklyn Gorilla.
Oh, is that in the public domain?
Yep.
Oh, well, the good thing about it, it makes my job easy because I can talk about that one a long time. It is an absurdly entertaining film. And, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I had no idea that was in the public domain.
And I'm going to be mailing you the movies with our quips at the beginning, because this is fun. Invisible Ghost, Spooks Run Wild, The Devil Bat, The Corpse Vanishes, Snake People starring Boris Karloff, no Bela. But we should do a Karloff movie in the 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you send me a list, I'll give you my recommendations, and you can show anyone you think your viewers will like, and we'll talk about those.
How about we start with White Zombie, then we'll go to Brooklyn Gorilla, so we get the next 2 weeks planned.
Okay, good.
That's 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yep, and then and then we'll do a Karloff, because I've got a segment with Sarah Karloff that we'll run. I interviewed her.
Okay, so you'll do the Snake People, all right.
You want to do Snake People or Island Monster or The Terror?
Well, The Terror has Jack Nicholson in it.
Yep.
So if people haven't seen The Terror, they should at least see it so they can see a young Jack Nicholson. And he's a young Jack Nicholson who has already emerged as the Jack Nicholson we know. He's taking more command of the movie than he did in some of his other film appearances. People tend to forget that he was in Little Shop of Horrors because he's not the star, but he was pretty good in this movie.
Oh, very cool. So I'm going to mail you the Lost World from last week.
Okay.
Because it's just a prototype. We're going to have a little intro, and I'm taking our segments here from tonight's show, we cut them up, and then we splice them onto the movies and broadcast it again.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, Joe, but I don't like to listen to myself because I get self-conscious.
Do you? You're very good. I mean, we're having fun.
I am having fun, but it's best I not know what I sound like. So.
All right, so if you don't want them, I won't send them to you.
No, yeah, go ahead and send it to me. I mean, the archive may want them.
All right.
My grandchildren may want them someday.
There you go. Email me your address again. I'll get them out to you.
Okay, I'll do that.
Good. So this is the last show for September, and we're off into October with our Halloween stuff, Frank.
Very good. I will talk to you next Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Frank Dello Stritto. So we're going to have the series. We got 3 minutes left, Kevin. So we're going to do a series of movies, and we can get dressed up for them.
Yeah, what do you want me to dress up as? As like a skeleton kind of guy?
You can dress up whatever you want. I'm going to do my Dracula routine.
I'll be a skeleton.
Because I'm so good at it.
I'll be a skeleton.
If you'd like, whatever you like.
I could definitely dress up. It's just gonna have to be a lot of paint and stuff.
I like how that dissolved from Jeff Dearman. So Jeff Dearman's our director. We thank him. I got to make sure I put his name up on YouTube. The lights are very powerful here, so they got a nice setup of lighting here at WinCam. Thank you, staff. I didn't have to do anything. Thank you, Joe LaRocca, Anthony Gamare, Chris, and the wonderful board of directors here. Great board of directors, very strong TV station we have here. And we're having fun.
Yeah.
This is a great environment. I love horror movies. I grew up on this stuff. It's you're reliving my childhood now. When we are able to, I never thought we'd be able to broadcast these on TV. Who knew about public domain? But this is fun. And Heroes of Horror collection, I picked it up at Stop and Shop. They don't have them anymore. They had a whole bunch of them. And for a while, they had all these movies. I picked this up. I wanted to pick up the Hitchcock ones. I didn't.
Oh, the Elvish Hitchcock.
I can find them elsewhere. We got a couple of minutes left. All right.
What was the Birds?
Well, The Birds was Hitchcock. We're going to have Nat Simpkins come in. Nat Simpkins is going to be, well, actually, he's going to phone in probably next week. Next week, we've got Danny Sheridan from the Bandaloo Doctors calling from L.A. Talked to him earlier tonight. He was out and about on his cell phone, so he said, let me be in my office. We had planned for him for next week, but I was asking if he'd fill in tonight. He said next week. So we have 2 guests next week, Frank Dello Stritto and maybe Johnny Byers too. Jeff Dearman and Johnny Byers are going to do a show. It's September 29th, last Thursday of September. Here we are.
Getting ready?
I gotta learn how to do TV. There we go. Here we are on WinCam, Visual Radio Live, having so much fun.
Woo!
Thank you to the wonderful show for opening this up, and we'll be back next week with lots more fun, lots more insight. You can email us and let us know what movies you want to see during our Bela Lugosi special starting October 6th, October 13th, October 20th, October 27th, concluding the second week of November. And then we have some November stuff happening. And we're wrapping up. That's it, people. Thank you, Kevin. Wide shot. Thanks. Visual Radio Live.
Strange in the neighborhood. Who are you gonna call?
You're still here. I gave you the night off.